I had the pleasure of being joined by Catherine Dawson. Now, Catherine's a solutions engineer at Cloudflare. Catherine, great to see you. Thanks for making time to catch up with me.
Thank you, Des.
So, for our audience, we're going to have a quick conversation about Cloudflare, the company, where they come from, what they're currently doing, where they're going. We're going to have a good old chat about Catherine's role as a solutions engineer and how she came to Cloudflare, what a SE does, and what a day in the life of Catherine Dawson's like. And then we'll talk a little bit about BeerOps and the sponsorship and so forth. But Catherine, I wonder if you could maybe give us just a kick-off with a 30,000 foot overview of Cloudflare, the company. Most people probably may or may not have heard of Cloudflare, the brand, but they probably count on the brand 24/7 with regard to security and content delivery and network connecting and so forth. Walk us through Cloudflare, the brand of the company, and what its core business does.
Great question, Des. Cloudflare in particular is known as a connectivity cloud. So for many of our customers and consumers of Cloudflare from all levels of consumer base, we are predominantly a unified platform. So we are a unified network that aims to connect and protect anything on the internet. So that's from public-facing applications to your internal applications from a remote access perspective, even for our developer customers who aim to build anything on Cloudflare's platform. So what we aim to do is really sort of have this global network, a global connectivity cloud that is going to connect everything to the internet.
I love it. I have a fun anecdote for our audience. Years ago, I had the opportunity to interview one of your colleagues in North America with regard to the whole lava lamp thing. And
Yes.
when it originally became, I think it was a grayscale one, and then eventually they came out with a color camera one. And it was just an amazing story. And then when I tried to relate to someone else, they couldn't quite grasp the idea of how a lava lamp could lead to better encryption. But that's another
Mhm.
conversation. I know you've recently coined a new sort of what we would call an industry term with regard to your direction of the business, which you've just spoken briefly about with regard to, I guess, leaning towards more of that connectivity cloud and connectivity sort of element. And you mentioned the unified cloud, unified network. I wonder if you could just maybe speak a little bit more about that and what that actually means, what the sort of the new coinage actually relates to, and particularly the sort of, I guess, the pivot from what people, if they knew the brand, might have known with regard to your security and content element, content delivery network, to what you're really doing now, which, as you said, is more of a unified offering. Give us a little bit more detail around that and I guess what that industry term actually relates to.
It's a great question, Des, and probably most of my conversations with customers do cover this question. Predominantly, I suppose most of the customers who are familiar with Cloudflare have known us for the past decade plus for being a leader when it comes to DNS, CPN, and protecting any of our web applications. Now, in the past 5 to 6 years, we've had a real shift in innovation, expanding what we can protect for our customers. So our conversations are really expanding from, yes, we are a leader in protecting any of our customers' public-facing applications, but we've expanded how our customers can use this global network. So it's all about anything that is available on the internet. We are a global network that you can securely connect any user to any application globally. So that can extend beyond your public-facing web applications to customers adopting a zero trust security model, which we call through our Cloudflare One portfolio, but also helping our customers' engineering teams and anyone in the developer community to help build and deploy their next generation applications. So we've not only been able to create this enormous global network to help connect any public-facing application, but also help our customers build and deploy the next application using our platform as well.
Fantastic. And there's no time more critical than now where security is on the lips of everybody from CEOs and boardrooms downwards for a bunch of obvious reasons, which I know all of the BeerOps community are tuned into. I'd love to delve into kind of your background and how you actually came to Cloudflare. Give us a little bit of a walk through your sort of background and what your journey was like with regard to getting to the organization Cloudflare and particularly in your role as a solutions engineer.
It's a great question, Des. And for most of the solution engineering people in the industry, I don't really come from that traditional career trajectory that many fellow SEs have gone down that traditional path of going into a pre-sales role. From a Cloudflare perspective, we do embrace diversity. The diversity within the wider team, from a sales perspective, as well as our technical team, is really embraced here within the ANZ team. So for myself in particular, I don't come from that traditional tech background. Suddenly, I have a wide variety of different career choices and paths that I've followed over the past 15 years. But 5 years ago, I was very fortunate in being able to fulfill my dreams in working for a global tech vendor with Cloudflare. And from that journey, I have been able to upskill, be trained by the business into a more technical scoped role as a solution engineer. So for anyone out there that is apprehensive in perhaps pursuing a role in tech, if you have ambition, if you enjoy a challenge, and if you enjoy being able to work with customers in proving out solutions and solving customer use cases, then anyone can do this role.
Fantastic. I know from my own background, many of the things you spoke about there, often, as you said, it was seemingly a technical role in that people came from an engineering or technical background, but more and more now, as many of the roles around business, I'm seeing people come into technical roles like CIOs with an MBA. I imagine a lot of the BeerOps community, all 59,000 or so far, and I'm sure it'll be many more this year after this year's events, will be very interested to learn that you can come into these sorts of roles that are perceived as technical roles with either a business or communications background.
Mm.
I imagine that combination of understanding the technology with the training you've had there at Cloudflare, but also the ability to communicate, to develop, proposals, sales, cost models. That's probably at least 50% of the challenge, isn't it? Sort of knowing what the customer's looking for from a commercial element, what their business is looking for, and being able to deliver a cost-effective outcome that's not just technically appropriate, but also commercially appropriate.
Correct. And I think you've nailed it on the head there, Des, in terms of the role. It's one of those really unique roles in the business from a technology perspective. And it's not a straight engineering role where you're hands-on keyboards delivering technical outcomes. You really need to marry that from a commercial perspective as well. Particularly as a solution engineer, you're working in a pre-sales environment, which means that you are working with a customer before they have invested within your technology. So it's about understanding your customer's business goals and objectives, and being able to really work with their team technically in building out and architect a solution, but also being able to deliver and achieve what they need to from a business perspective as well. So it's a really unique position where you need to marry both the strong communication skills, business knowledge, but also then marry that from a technical perspective in helping them actually provide a solution that's tailored to their use case to help them through that journey from a discovery perspective all the way through to implementation and rollout across the business.
Yeah, it's a fantastic role. And congratulations, by the way, on I think you're coming up to your fifth year there at the organization. So that's an
Yes,
amazing
gosh.
milestone. I have a phrase when it comes to those sorts of things, which is let there be cake. I like that balance between a couple of things you mentioned there, both the technology and the business element, but also the fact that you're actually able to have inwardly facing activity with your own teams and your own organization there at Cloudflare, but also balance that with regard to what you're doing with your customers. And I imagine your integrators and solution providers and partners and resellers as well, which sounds like an amazing career path and opportunity for you, and congratulations on that. With all of that in mind, I wonder if there is such a thing, but what's a day in the life of Catherine Dawson like in the role of solutions engineer? Is there such a thing as a day in the life that's normal, or is it a sort of a
Oh my
day-to-day
gosh,
thing?
it is a really good question because it's a tremendously challenging and rewarding role. But my 9 to 5, if we still work 9 to 5, but that day in a life, it really varies. Honestly, we could typically roll through what a solution engineer role comprises of, from proof of concepts to meeting with new customers, understanding the challenges, from designing and architecting some solution designs for our customers based off our huge portfolio of products, working with our internal product team, a lot of internal stakeholders as SEs that we need to. It's not only customer facing, but it's also the internal stakeholders from our global team that we're working with to ensure that we are also relaying what our customers need to our product teams internally as well. So it's a really, really huge role in terms of the variety and challenges. So the 9 to 5, to answer your question, typically can revolve around customer meetings, internal stakeholder meetings with our product teams, designing new uh, architecture designs for our customers, running proof of concepts, running
Wow.
performance tests, a whole range of things, Deb. So I think from a 9 to 5 perspective, really, if you enjoy a challenge and being able to have an unpredicted calendar, then that's definitely the SD role summed up there.
I love it. You've just sold being an SE big time, thousandfold. I can imagine now there's a whole community inside the BeerOps ecosystem dying to talk to you on the day at the event coming up to learn more about that. I wonder if we could talk about BeerOps now. And thank you for that great insight into kind of what a day in the life is like. It's very inspiring. When we look at events like BeerOps, I'm keen to kind of get an idea of what that, opportunity to sponsor an event like BeerOps. And I know it's not your first year, you were there last year as well from memory. And you yourself, I think, was at the Sydney event. But what does an event like BeerOps offer Cloudflare? I imagine there's a combination of the opportunity to meet and talk directly to some of the people that might either be your customers or could be potentially new customers or even new hires. Certainly coming out of the lockdowns over the last 2 years, some of those in-person events are very exciting to get to. But some of these, these very large events with an amazing mix of sort of, birds of the feather and peers at different levels. What does an event like that offer a brand like Cloudflare?
Oh, it's a great question. And I'm going to probably rephrase my answer in a little bit differently to your question here. It's
Sure.
what can BeerOps do for our team? Because it is one of those rare events where we can share our passion with the wider community. And you don't need to be a certain level of customer to use Cloudflare and to share the technology in that wider community base. And I say that because last year at the BeerOps event in Sydney, I was manning the booth and we had Cloudflare gear and we had a few engagement activities. But what I most enjoyed about is the wide variety of people that we met in the wider tech community. So it ranged from students who were asking questions around their next career choice post degree to developers in the community who have been 10 to 15 years into developing applications, and they're asking, hey, I've got this really specific technical question around this new product, how do I use it with Cloudflare, all the way up until enterprise-based customers who are attending from a industry-led event, wanting to hear from Cloudflare around their more strategic business goals long term. So I think the variety of people who we meet, and I think if you are coming to the event and you see the Cloudflare staff members, we are really passionate about the Connectivity Cloud network and all the really cool things you can do with our platform. So if you are wanting to approach the Cloudflare booth and have a conversation with the team, we would love to meet you. We'd love to hear about your next project or anything that you're planning to build using Cloudflare's platform. More than happy to answer your questions, regardless of what journey you're on in terms of the technology journey that you're following.
Fantastic. I love it. BeerOps focuses a lot on that diversity and inclusion element, but not just the DEI stuff that a lot of people talk about. But you spoke to many of those key points just to reiterate and highlight it for our audience. And particularly, you talked about, uh, diversity across age brackets, roles, industries, experience, and particularly women in tech. I imagine that aligns very well with Cloudflare's own goals in this space with regard to what you were just talking about with, what to get out of the event and what BeerOps can bring. The other side of the coin, of course, is the attendees element. You've spoken about a number of the key things that attendees can look forward to with regard to having you there. What are some of the things that people could potentially do, in your view, to actually better prepare for the event? So if I'm an attendee and I'm going to be turning up to one of the events, whether it's Brisbane or Perth or Melbourne or Sydney, locally here for both of us, what sort of things can some of those attendees, and I know you've spoken to many of them last year, what should they be thinking about with regard to preparing to come to the event to get to know more about the company Cloudflare, maybe prepare some questions and even just follow you on social media? What's the best way to get to the point where when they come and meet you in person, that they are as well informed as they can be and as well prepared to talk about some of those projects that you mentioned that they may have?
Great question. So for those who have never heard of Cloudflare, we have a very robust, very transparent a blog, which we call the Cloudflare blog, for those of us in that Cloudflare community. Many customers and peers follow the Cloudflare blog. It's a public blog page in which we update daily with all the latest Cloudflare news around products and technologies. So if you're not familiar with Cloudflare, head over to our blog page, because that is where we internally and externally receive all of the news about what we're releasing publicly. So if you're not familiar with Cloudflare, that's a great place to start. If you are familiar with Cloudflare and you are really excited about sharing what you're building and developing using our platform, and you'd love to have a conversation with us, that's what we're here for as well. We want to be able to knowledge share and learn from the community. So if you're already familiar with Cloudflare or you've never heard of Cloudflare, we really embrace these conversations, and we're here to learn from each other. And we've got a team, a very diverse team of people who'll be at the booth on the day. So please come over and share what you're learning with us.
Fantastic, indeed. And what was going through my mind then, just tuning into what you're saying, was that there can be no better opportunity both for Cloudflare as a brand or for the attendees to actually be there in person, be prepared for a great conversation, and even potentially reach out. I know myself, when I last went to BeerOps, I didn't go last year because I was overseas, but the previous year, I actually reached out to a bunch of people I knew who had already said on social media, particularly LinkedIn, they were going, and just said, hey, look, can we catch up and block out 15 minutes to have a conversation? And sure enough, they were at the place and the time and the booth that they said they were going to be, and I got a slot of their time, so I already sort of scheduled in advance. But yes, I think there can be no better opportunity both for the organization as well as the attendees than just getting there in person, having those conversations. That's where future dreams are made in my mind. Well, congratulations on all of that, and particularly your partnership and sponsorship with BeerOps. It's very exciting, and I love the fact that you're essentially giving back to the community in many ways by doing that. You've spoken about a few of those elements of where people can learn more. I wonder if you could just expand on some of the ways that people can sort of not only learn more about the brand, but actually engage with it online, even if they can't make BeerOps for some reason. Maybe they cannot get to one of the four events in person, but they want to follow along virtually. What are some of the ways that they can sort of engage? I imagine, as you said, learn more about you through your website and your blog and your products and services capabilities there, but you've got other channels and avenues they can follow and engage with as well, I imagine.
For sure. And I think probably the most exciting thing for working with Cloudflare is how accessible we make our technology to our customers globally. So if you want to have a go at even just signing up to consume our services, you can start to build applications. You can start to really play around with all of the areas that we provide to our customers, from security to performance to building. All of these products are available to anyone to sign up and to consume. So please, if you're not able to attend the event, we do make our technology available to customers globally. But we certainly like to showcase what our customers are doing. So we have certainly through our workers platform, we have build. I think it's called Build With, or Built With. I might have to get back to you on that, Des. But we certainly have a lot of showcasing what our customers are doing with the platform. So if you're really stuck in terms of how to get started, we have a really good library of best practices and get started guides for all of the areas of our platform. So whether it's from a developer perspective or securing your web-facing applications, we have some of the best get started guides for our customers. So please sign up, start to use our technology. It is free for customers to use, to start off with a few of our services. So more than happy
Awesome.
to answer any questions beyond that as well.
Exciting. I'm going to be doing just that over my weekend as well. So there goes my weekend. Great ideas. Well, it's been so great to chat to you. Thank you so much for making time to catch up with me, Catherine. I've loved learning more about the organization, particularly your future direction. I've loved learning about your history and your background and how you came to the organization and your insights into kind of what an SE does. I do love the fact that you've come to it from a slightly a different angle, not necessarily different in a good or bad way, but just unique in that you've brought a range of skills to that. It gives, I think, a lot of, I guess, it opens people's minds so that this is a career path I can actually do as well, as opposed to maybe thinking that they could only do it if they came from a purely engineering background. Congratulations on again sponsoring the BeerOps events this year. I know you did last year. And for our audience, as you said, we're going to make sure that there are plenty of links to learn about Cloudflare. We'll have links to their website, to their blog. We'll have links to their LinkedIn page. You can follow them. Certainly reach out to Catherine and follow her and keep an update with her updates on various platforms. And there are dates coming up, which I'll just mention, which is Brisbane, which is the next event, the first one of the year. I believe that's the 19th of June. And then there's Perth following very, very quickly, which I think is the 1st of July, and then a few months break. And then there is Melbourne and Sydney in that sequence. So wherever you see this video, whether it's on our YouTube platform or whether it's on our Vidneon platform or whether it's on social media, we'll have links there for you to follow and click on, learn more about Catherine and the organization Cloudflare and what they do. And of course, click early and register. Some of those seats will sell out fast. And they're on a special offer at the moment, which is free. Sorry, I'm just kidding. They are always free tickets. Discount 50% right now if you register today, kind of thing. Catherine, thank you so much. I hope you have a fantastic day. Really looking forward to seeing you at the local event. And in the meantime, safe travels and what you do. And we'll look forward to having you back on the show again soon.
Thank you, Des.